I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. And boy, it is truly a pleasure to introduce this man on the Vegas Take. You know him as, well, celebrity, as a TV star. You know him from the movies. Of course, he's a former politician. And now he's got a new show coming down called Judge Jerry. That's right. The legend himself, Jerry Springer. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Please don't get up. Thank you. Thank you. I'm
Judge
fine.
Jerry, how does that sound?
Well, as my wife says, this is the first time in our 46 years of marriage that she's ever seen my name and honorable in the same sentence.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have so much to get to you in a short period of time.
Go ahead.
Let's start with politics, since this is a news talk station and you're a former politician.
I'm mayor of Cincinnati.
That's right. What do you make of? Because listen, I bash Donald Trump every day on the show. I can't stand the man personally. I think he's a jerk. I want to get your opinions on Donald Trump. You know, yesterday he makes his first campaign stop for 2020 in Orlando. What do you make of this circus? What do you make of this man? And do you think at times he embarrasses the country on a world stage?
Well, I'm not interested in attacking him personally, but I obviously do not want him as president, and I think he is hurtful to our country because he seems to be opposed to the idea America. America, at its inception, was to be a multicultural society. That was the goal. We weren't there, but as noted in the Declaration of Independence and in the documents of the time, this was a place where it didn't matter where you were from, who your parents were, how you prayed to God, if you prayed to God. This was a place that you could come and be free. And ultimately, the Statue of Liberty became our symbol. And it's been replaced by Trump with the concept of a wall. And it is just so un-American to be picking on various religions, to be alienating, well, they're Hispanic, they're Mexican, they're Muslim, they're women.
Right.
It's just
un-American.
And yes, and I think deep down that's what offends us the most. You know, we're not going to war over what kind of health policy we have. The feeling, why did millions of Americans protest on the first day he was president? He hadn't yet been president for 24 hours, and millions of people congregated in their towns and cities the next day. It was because there was this fear. We couldn't yet have been upset with anything he did. It was the fear of what he stood for. And we're starting to see that now, the disintegration or the of American institutions. Every cabinet official he puts in power is to basically dismantle the part of the government that person is in charge of. Be the environment, be the Justice Department, health, whatever it is, your job. Even the Defense Department. We haven't had a defense secretary for 9 months now. It's like, do away with what this government is, play into the hands of our, like Russia and Korea, North Korea. All of these elements. It's like, who's he working for?
See, Jerry, this is why you need to run for president. Okay, this is why. No, but
I'll be your president. No, I was born in England. I can't be president. Well, in fact, I left when I found out I couldn't be king.
Well, back in the day, though, you worked for Robert Kennedy. You worked for the Kennedys.
That was my first job.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think Robert Kennedy would say about Donald Trump?
Well, it's what I believe rational people are saying. It's unfathomable what's going on. I think we can survive it. This will be a blip in our history. But if he's reelected, it's going to be very difficult to come back after 8 years of this. After 4 years, I think we can. But after 8 years, we won't be. What will happen by pulling out of all these arrangements we have with our allies, with NATO, with trade agreements, by basically turning our backs on our allies and cozying up only to dictators and to tyrants, that it'll be too late 8 years down the road
Right.
to suddenly say, oh, we were only kidding. These other countries will have already made their own arrangements,
That's a good point. Yeah.
excluding the United States. So we are losing our place in this world because no one can trust us anymore. I mean, if
Right.
you're North Korea,
Yeah.
and they're a nuclear power, and obviously they can be very irrational and dangerous.
Sure.
Why, or even Iran, why would either country now make a deal with us? Because as long as Trump's in, how would you trust it? He's already pulled out of every agreement
Doesn't
we've
make
been
any
in.
sense.
So
Yeah.
we can't have a deal now. We don't have any argument to make.
I wanted to ask you about this, too. You're a former Army reservist. You served this nation. First of all, when he goes after somebody like a war hero like John McCain, and number two, when he dodges the military, we all know he did with the bone spurs and that nonsense, that has to offend somebody like you. You served this country honorably. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it should offend anyone. I mean, I never saw action or anything like that. But the people that put their lives on the line for this country, what do we tell their families, first of all, of those who didn't make it back? That we were only kidding about what your son or daughter died for? That when we pretend to be patriots on the 4th of July or at the 7th inning stretch of a ball game, sing the national anthem or God Bless America, that we didn't really mean what we say America's supposed to be, that it's okay to discriminate, that it's okay to pick on various religions or races or ethnic groups, that we don't try to help people that need help. Then what were we fighting for? Every country has a pretty national anthem. Every country has their own heroes. What makes America special is what the flag stands for, not the material of the flag. We don't stand and honor silk. We don't stand to honor because, gee, red, white, and blue are such pretty colors. Right. We stand to honor what
the heroes
stands for, and the people that have fought and died for this country.
Sure.
And to spit on the flag by basically spitting on everything our country stands for, that's untenable.
I agree.
And why do we say that's okay with our president? No one, I don't care how conservative you are, how Republican you are, no one raises their child and says, when you grow up, I want you to be like Donald Trump.
You're so right.
That's the truth.
I ask people that all the time.
Even if you like a tax policy, you don't want your kid to behave like Donald Trump.
I say that all the time. What kind of model is he setting for others?
And
what kind of role model?
President. Why do we think the presidency is so insignificant that our country means nothing, that it's okay to have a president like that?
You are absolutely right. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jerry Springer. He's got a new show coming up called Judge Jerry. All right. Now that we've talked a little bit enough about Donald Trump, let's try to have a little bit of fun here. You've done so many amazing things in your life, but did you ever think that we would say to this day that you would have one of the highest rated ever talk shows in the history of television? There's not many people that could say that, right? And you had it.
Well, I'd like to formally apologize. No, I think my show ruined the culture.
No, it didn't.
But no, but it's. You want to say it's 99% luck, but truthfully, it's 100% luck. There are so many really talented people. I mean, I think I'm a nice guy and reasonably bright, but there are people that are talented, and I'm not what you would call talented.
You don't believe that, do you?
Oh, I honestly
You really
do.
believe you're not talented?
I think I'm smart, and I think I'm nice, and that gets you a long way. But no, I'm not particularly talented. No, you go to Hollywood, or you go and see these people that are great actors, great singers, great dancers, great violin players, piano players.
But you knew when to step back.
Athletes.
You knew when to step back and let
that's a
trashy people
skill.
be entertaining.
That's a skill. That's a skill. But I never thought I was talented. No one picked me in high school and said, boy, that kid's going to be in show business.
Were you popular in high school at all, by the way?
I wasn't known in high school.
You weren't known. You were the
I had
smart,
my 5
geeky kid? Or
friends who lived I grew up in New York in an apartment building. And my best friends were the 5 guys that lived in the same apartment building as I did. And we went through school together. But no one knew me in high school, no. and no one knew me much in college. As I said, I did well in school and got good jobs, but I got lucky. The only job I ever applied for in life was to be mayor, because you had to run for that.
And you were successful
Every
at that.
other job was offered to me. I was recruited out of law school by a law firm. And then after I was mayor, I was recruited by NBC to anchor their news for Cincinnati. After I was doing the news for 10 years, I was hired to take Phil Donahue's place. I didn't audition. I didn't try out.
That's incredible.
So every job, Judge Jerry, NBC came to me as I was stopping my show. I'm 75. They said, "Would you consider doing a judge show?"
That's
so
incredible.
it's like it's pure luck.
What is going through your mind when you're on a show and you see two trashy people going at it with one another? Are you saying to yourself in your head, wow, this is great television? Or are you saying, oh, my God, I can't believe I'm doing this? Like, what is going through your mind when you see some of the craziest things you've seen on the Jerry Springer show?
Number one, do I remember where the bank is? No. What honestly goes through my mind
curious.
Is we're all alike.
Yeah.
They're but for the grace of God, you know. They are like everyone else we bow down to on late night television, the celebrities. There's nothing different. The stories of the people that were on my show for 27 years, it's no different than the stories of the celebrities who appear on late night television talking about who they slept with, the drug issues they've had, their broken marriages, and we can't fast enough buy their albums, go to their movies. The behavior is irrelevant. If you are rich, famous, and beautiful, we worship you. And they have the people on my show had the same exact behavior, except they don't speak the Queen's English. They're not famous, and they're not known.
That's true, but it's great reality
the same
TV.
Thing.
Yeah.
Someone cheated on them.
Right.
They're upset about it.
Right.
And it just because they didn't have the luck that celebrities have.
Right.
Or they don't have the looks.
Sure.
So there is no, we're all alike.
In a way, you are right. I do not disagree with you. Jerry Springer joining us. Okay, so Jerry, you're pretty, as far as your personal life goes, you don't really like to talk about that stuff. Is that fair? I mean, you're not really the type of guy.
I've been married 46 years, and I love my wife.
So when you look at what the owner of the Patriots, what happened to him, Kraft, you've had some up and downs in your life. You had some issues in the past. That's way in the past, and I know you don't want to talk about that.
I don't care, but we can talk about it.
Well, I mean, you had that issue with the check.
I was in my 20s, and I went to a massage parlor, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have a good time there.
What was going through your mind when you signed a check, though? Because that was weird.
Because it didn't dawn on me that I was doing anything bad at the time.
Well, let me be clear. Let me be on the record. What I think you did, I don't think there's anything completely wrong with it. Yes, is there sex trafficking? Yeah, I think prostitution should be legalized. What are your thoughts on that? Because 45 minutes from here in Pahrump, it is legal.
I don't have an opinion on it, and if I did, I wouldn't even tell you because that would be a story.
Fair enough.
So therefore, I don't know.
But what happened to Kraft?
I did what I did.
Can you relate to what happened? It was embarrassing, and I don't think he did something terrible, but yet it's all over the news, just like what happened to you. Can you relate to Kraft, and what would be your advice to somebody like him?
Times have changed.
Yeah.
It's 50 years later. Back then, it was a big deal. You shouldn't go to a massage parlor, and I did. And honestly, I didn't have that good a time. But anyway, I did.
Care to elaborate on that?
I'm sorry. I was, 25, and I shouldn't have done it.
But in a way, didn't that help you, though? To an extent, get elected?
Well, yeah, but I was already in office. It was 4 years before I became mayor of Cincinnati.
But that made you more popular, did it not?
Well, it certainly made me a household name. But you know what? So is iodine.
That's true.
And
that's true.
Poison, it can be a household name.
I hear you. Well, I know you're a huge Yankees fan, right? I know you attend Yankees games regularly. Talk to me about
2.5 games in front.
Yes. So talk to me a little bit about your team this year. Now, I would imagine you've gotten a chance to get to know some of the former players in the past, like guys like Joe Torre and managers.
Yeah.
So what has that been like for you? Because obviously you're a New Yorker, you're a huge baseball fan. That must have been a treat for you to meet some. Do you have any Yankee stories that you can share with us?
Oh,
Steinbrenner, I would imagine.
No, it goes back further. I'm a diehard Yankee fan because you're a fan of the teams where you live, where you grow up.
Sure.
And I grew up in the 40s and 50s in New York when the Yankees won the World Series every year. Mm-hmm. They were in the world, a New York team. Back then we had the Dodgers and Giants too in New York, the Brooklyn Dodgers and New York Giants. So I came to America in 1949. I was 5. From 1949 to 1964. Every single year, 16 straight years, the World Series either had the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Giants, and sometimes 2 of them. So it was like it was a New York holiday.
What were tickets like back then? I mean, they had to be pretty cheap back then compared to what they are now.
Yeah.
Like $10 for a ticket?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you said the bleachers was 75 cents.
Oh, my God.
And the general admission was $1.25.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So it was great. And so I spend my youth watching the Yankees. Anyway, it's 1988, and I am 44 years old. And they have these dream camps, and where people usually 30 and up, and most of the guys are in their 40s and 50s. For 1 week, you can go to Florida and play baseball with your heroes, a doubleheader every day for a week. And then the final night of the dream camp, you get to play against the Yankees, but you have a Yankee pitcher. Mm-hmm. And I was one of the only catchers in camp. So I went to the Yankee camp, and the Yankee camp had Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford, Yogi Berra, Doc Rivers. I mean, it was like a Hall of Fame game. And so for a solid week, you have your locker next to them. You have all your meals with them. You go out at night with them. It's a doubleheader. Honestly, so now on the final night in Fort Lauderdale, I'll tell you the night. It's April 15th, 1988, a Friday night. You can look it up in the calendar so you know I'm telling you the truth. They open up Fort Lauderdale Stadium to the public. Uh-huh. And now the public to see Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford, you'll get to see these guys, of course. So they sold out. Now in a packed stadium, they announced the batteries. For the Yankees, Ford and Springer. I'm the catcher. Whitey is warming up.
Oh, my gosh.
And I wear glasses underneath my mask. And my glasses are fogging up. And I'm tearing up because this is my whole childhood coming back to me. Oh, my gosh. And suddenly, out of the dugout, coming to bat, here comes Mickey Mantle. 10,000 people get
nervous you've ever been in your life?
I am now physically shaking, and as I said, tears are, and my glasses are fogging up. So I call timeout. I run out to the mound, and Whitey, who has a thick New York accent, he's from Long Island, as I come running out there to the mound, and he says, "What are you doing?" And I says, "Whitey, I can't stop shaking." He puts his arm around me like I'm a little child. And he says, "Get the blank behind the plate. Mantle hasn't hit in 20 years and he's stone drunk." So I say, okay. So I get behind the plate.
What a story.
Oh, and then Mickey takes a swing, sends a towering fly ball deep to left that is caught. It was the single greatest.
And that was the question I was going to ask you. A couple more quick questions for you, Jerry. New show coming out, by the way, Judge Jerry. I want to get to that, but I was going to ask you what you've done in your career, in your life. Do you have any other experiences like that where you say, I don't think anything would match that, but that where you met somebody special that you've always wanted to meet because of what you've done for a living, you've been able to do some amazing opportunities to develop relationships and friendships?
Because of my politics and as a mayor, I met all the presidents just because you do that in the business of your job at conventions and stuff like that. So, but I'll tell you, the only person I ever met that I got nervous about was I had an audience with Pope John Paul II.
Did you really?
And well, number one, I'm Jewish, and then all the Catholic people in Cincinnati, and a whole bunch of them. I went, how the hell does Springer get to meet the Pope? And I don't, I'm in church every Sunday morning.
You got this Jewish guy meeting the Pope. And
yeah. But it was because I started this organization in Cincinnati during the mid-'80s called Cincinnati Reaches Out. And you're not old enough to remember, but in the 80s, well, in fact, there was this song out, We Are the World, because Ethiopia and much of Africa was undergoing a drought and people were dying because there was no food. And because no rain, no food was growing. But there also was no medicine, no sanitation. So we went over to Ethiopia 2 weeks at a time to bring over medicine because the people were dying of malaria, yellow fever, tuberculosis, all the diseases that we had cured here in America 50, 100 years ago. And the Pope the Vatican heard about our efforts to do this. So they said, on your next trip over to Ethiopia, please stop over in Rome, and the Pope would like to bless your efforts. So, say, yeah. First you say, who is this really? When you get a call from the Vatican,
of course.
you think, you
think it's a prank.
And calling me, really? But it turned out to be real. So we flew over there. But when you go and meet the Pope, you have to be there a day or two earlier.
Right,
and they brief you on the protocol, etc. And one of the things they said is, now when you meet him, he speaks, this was Pope John Paul, he speaks 57 languages or something like that, they said. So speak slow enough that he gets immediately what language you're speaking, and speak loudly, because he was elderly.
Older guy, yeah.
So now it's my turn to go there and meet him. And I actually was nervous, and I realized I've been public my whole adult life. Why am I nervous about it? But I was, because this is a very holy man.
Most people would.
It doesn't happen to be my religion, but I totally respect what
I think most people would.
Yeah.
Wow, that is an incredible...
But whatever you said to him,
yeah,
he would repeat and say, God bless. So I said, Your Holiness, I am Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer, God bless. I'm from the United States. The United States, God bless. I'm here bringing medicine to Ethiopia. Ethiopia, God bless. I should have said, I'm with Channel 5 News. And we would have had because we had the cameras rolling, we would have had a promo. Channel 5, God bless.
God bless.
And then
Jerry, what would you have done if you started shouting out, Jerry, Jerry?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't yet doing my show. This is when I was on the news.
This is before,
I was a news anchor at the time.
I got you.
And so, but that, I guess, was the most.
That's incredible. Those are two unbelievable stories.
And they have pictures, of course.
Gosh.
But then, like an idiot, you order I'll take this packet. I have 100 glossies of me and the Pope. Now, what do you do with them?
You can't put them all up in your house, right?
Well, even if you put one, you send one to your sister.
Right.
What do you do with them?
I don't know.
Because you can't give them your...
If fans ask you for your autograph, just send them that picture.
And more people are saying, who's that guy with Jerry Springer?
That's so funny. All right, so you're here to promote Judge Jerry. Let's get to that, and then we can let you go here. I'm just picturing you in a robe, okay, being a judge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And first of all, how did this come about? I know you said they reached out to you. And what excites you about this new project and this new show coming up?
I'm loving it, and I'm not just saying it. I mean, I really do love it because, first of all, at my age, I'm 75, you would think it's time to retire. And I really did think it was time to retire. My show, I wasn't going to make any more episodes. But then... Sean O'Boyle, who is head of sales for NBC for these shows, he came into my office. He says, Jerry, I got this idea. You're a lawyer. What if we did Judge Jerry? And I spit out the coffee I was having, and yes. So, of course, I said yes right away. And so it was totally his idea. The network has been phenomenal. NBC Universal, they have pulled out all the stops, and we're literally in 100% of the country now.
So,
and these are real cases. In other words, I'll joke around a little bit because I can't help it, but these cases are real. When these people file
this is real stuff.
Anywhere in the country, they don't know they're going to be on television. They don't even know I have a judge show.
Wow.
So when they file their cases, what we have is we have stringers all around the country whose job it is to every morning check every courthouse in America They do it by computer, obviously. Every quarter, and find interesting cases. And if they find an interesting case in any of the 50 states,
That is
they
unique.
contact the plaintiff and the defendant. Would you be willing to have your case adjudicated by me?
How could you say no?
Well, some obviously do. They don't want. Well, some don't want
They
to
don't want to be on
television.
TV, but
yeah.
I would say yes.
So we fly him to Connecticut.
Yeah.
And then whatever decision I make, and this is true of all the judge shows, whatever decision I make, that's it. They can't
I love
appeal
it.
then to a court of common pleas. So
I
I
love
have
it.
to deal with them with
the
respect.
former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman, who I'm sure you
met,
know,
sure.
he tried to do a show like this. And I'm going to tell you something. It didn't work, and I think the reason why it didn't work is it doesn't fit him. I personally believe this fits you. You're quick-witted, you're funny, sarcastic, you're, as you said, very intelligent, well-spoken, and you've been doing this for such a long time. He really didn't have that background, not even close to what you have in doing television. I think this is perfect for you. This, especially where you are at right now. This is the perfect scenario for you.
I hope so. I have to say, whether it is or not, the viewers will decide. But I'm loving it because it's like, on a serious note, the first time in 30 years I have to use my brain. In other words, doing my other show was fun, but when you do my show, there are only 3 sentences you have to have. You did what? Come on out. We'll be right back. If you can do those 3 sentences, you're a talk show host.
That's true.
But in this, I have to know the law in the 50 states,
Right.
the laws that apply
do your
to
homework.
that case.
Yeah.
You really do. So we tape every other week because my off week, I have to study the 30 cases. I do
This is
30
gonna be
cases a
interesting.
week.
This is real stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it really
You're
is.
impacting people's lives in a real way.
Yeah,
here.
so I have to.
No
I have
doubt.
to deal with it seriously. So I love it.
Yeah, well, Jerry, thank you so much for your time. We've kept you long enough. Thank you.
This is fine. You're fun to talk to.
I appreciate it,
Very
Jerry. Good luck
interesting.
with this show. You've been successful with just about everything you've done in your life, and I have no doubt this show, Judge Jerry, is going to be successful. Jerry Springer, thank you
Thanks a
so
lot.
much.
Thanks for having me.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.